p.m. Welcome you all. Another 2 weeks have flown by. So the first item on our agenda, just a reminder that the meeting is being recorded. So we will move to approving the minutes from our last meeting. Josh had sent those out with the notice for the meeting. So hopefully you've all had a chance to look at those. Someone like to make a motion to approve?
Hi, Thomas Golden, motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Okay, is there a second?
Hi, Darren Boston, second the motion.
Okay, thank you, Darren. Any discussion, any changes to the minutes?
I don't think so.
No? Okay. Josh, thanks again for putting out the minutes, and this is going to need a roll call.
Ed,
Yes.
Leone,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Darren,
Yes.
Janet.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion was approved.
Okay, thank you. All right, we will move to a time of public citizen comment. I see we have a couple of folks have joined. Would either one of you like to speak? Carlton.
Hi, thank you guys for your hard work. I appreciate it. You're looking at the town manager's responsibilities tonight. And I just wanted to say, I think based on some things the town attorney told the town council, that they really didn't have much way to direct his work. They clearly cannot direct the work of his employees, but they can direct the work of him. And I think the charter needs to be a little bit more strong in terms of either what the town council can do and their authorities, or diminish a little bit or modify a bit what the town manager's charges are. I just read through them. They're all fairly general. But I will point you to number 19, to assist the town council to develop long-term goals for the town and strategies to implement these goals. The assist term there is probably poorly defined. What does that really mean? Because planning board has the master plan and other people have that. And the council is not strongly charged with the strategies and goals. So I don't think that's happening in the way it should be in this form of government. Number 22, perform such other duties as necessary or as may be assigned by this charter, by ordinance, or by vote of the town council. I think it needs to be clarified what the vote of the town council means, because I believe that could be changed to by order of the town council. I think that needs to be clarified significantly to ensure that the town council has a better, stronger role in the town. On number 25, I think it says promote partnerships among town council, staff, citizens, and businesses in developing public policy and building a sense of community. I'd like to see you add to that would be appointed committees or standing committees to that section, because right now my experience is the town executive office does very little work with advisory committees. And generally, in my experience, the committees have had to form the meetings to get information from the town rather than the town coming to those committees. And the last piece, 26, to hold regular informational sessions with departments and community-based organizations. I don't think that's really happening, so that needs to be looked at very carefully. Those are the things that I see. My main point is I think we need to seriously look at strengthening the town council ability to manage the town manager. Thank you.
Carlton, can I ask you a quick question? What list are you reading from, just for clarity?
The town charter.
Okay. I just, one of them I couldn't find. I was like, so thank you.
I had a hard time finding it, and I got it, and I printed out that section because that was what I
Okay.
really dig into a little bit so that the town gets better, quite frankly, better management.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
You're welcome.
Carlton. Appreciate your feedback. Okay, Gina, are you interested in speaking or not?
No, Ed, I'm not, but thank you for the invitation.
Okay,
Just
great.
listening in.
Okay, great. Thanks. All righty. We will then move on to old business. and get into the charter now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen, and hopefully that will work properly for me here. All right, share screen. Can you all see that?
Yes.
Is it big enough?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So the first item that I had on the agenda for old business was we had talked last week about adding a definition for recall because we had approved the recall section last week. So this is my attempt at putting a definition in. The way it reads right now is it's the power reserved to the voters that allows the voters by petition to demand the removal of an elected official.
Where did that come from? Did you take that from another charter by any chance?
You know, no, I don't think I did. I think I just did a little bit of research online and found a definition that I thought was general enough that, you know, communicates sort of the essence of what a recall is.
Okay.
So any comments on this? Would anyone like to recommend any changes to it? Something different? I mean, we can always vote on it tonight, and as we come around the second time, if somebody has something different, we can discuss it at a later time. But I'd like to get something in at this point. So if someone would like to make a motion to approve it, that would be great.
Give me 1 second.
Yep.
I'm just trying to put it in the sentences that we have it in, and it makes sense to me. So I, Thomas Golden, would motion to approve the definition of recall that is presented on the screen right now.
Okay, is there a second?
I, Janet, second.
Okay, any further discussion? All right, Josh, this is a roll call.
Ed,
Yes?
Cleone. Cleone?
Did she drop?
No, she's still there. She looks like she's on mute.
Oh, there she is. She's on mute.
Okay.
So Cleone is being blocked because she has an
Yes.
unencrypted audio
Okay.
connection for some reason. That's weird.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, yes.
Great thing. Tom,
Yes.
Darren,
Yes.
Janet,
Yes.
Nikki, the motion was approved.
All right, thank you for that. The next item, which was another follow-up from a last meeting, was to add something to the town clerk to talk about vacancies, how to fill vacancies. So let me just go down to this one. So anything you see in green here is stuff that we've already voted on and approved. What I'm doing now is just trying to keep it all in one document. So this is the what we approved last meeting, the section on the town clerk. And this is what I've added. And this actually came from a couple of charters that I reviewed and kind of picked a little one and another and kind of put it together. So this says, if a vacancy occurs in the position of town clerk for any reason, the town council shall appoint a person to fill the vacated position until the next general election. Notwithstanding any other provision in this charter, for the position of town clerk that becomes vacant, the qualified candidate for that position with the next highest number of votes from the last election shall be appointed by the town council to fill the unexpired term of the vacated position. If said candidate declines the appointment to fill the vacancy, the appointment shall be offered to the qualified candidate with the next highest votes, and so forth, until either a qualified candidate accepts the appointment or until the list of qualified candidates is exhausted. If the candidate list is exhausted, the town council shall advertise the vacancy and may appoint a person from the list of applicants for the advertised vacancy. The qualified candidate as used in this section is a person who declared for the vacated position, obtained the requisite signatures to appear on the ballot, and appeared on the ballot in the election. So this is a situation, I know that the clerk is elected, and that's what we agreed to. But in the case of a vacancy, what I'm suggesting here is that the council, because of time and the need to fill the vacancy quickly, that the council would appoint the position temporarily until the next election.
Yeah, so I have two things real quick. On line 29, there's a typo.
Where is it?
It's right in the middle. Not qualified is right there. I think there needs to be a space.
Yep.
And then, so if hypothetically the result of the general election results in the current town clerk getting a new position, does that mean that they would meet and there was no other vacancies, the town council could appoint somebody for like 364 days?
I'm not sure I totally
So like if
follow your
say
question.
that, so I guess that's a very unlikely scenario, so just disregard my question. I
Oh,
logicked myself out of it.
okay. Any other comments or questions on this? I mean, I send this information out early to you guys, so I'm hoping that you have a chance to review this before the meeting. So this is the first time you're looking at it.
So I can re-explain my question. There's no instance in which a town clerk would be appointed for more than a year, correct? That's my understanding of the way it reads.
For more than a year.
Because the general election happens every year, right?
That's right, yes.
So like, this is I don't want to say it that way because that sounds so gruesome. So the town clerk gets elected, and then they win the Mega Millions the next day and say, you know what, I don't want to be town clerk anymore. I won the Mega Millions, and they walk away, and there's nobody behind them in line. In theory, the longest period until the next elected clerk would be there is 1 year.
Yes.
Okay.
So are you saying in that in that situation, the current clerk ran unopposed, so there's no one?
Yeah.
Okay, so then the council would appoint somebody for the remainder of the term or remainder of the year until the next election.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
That's what happened when
When Ron,
Adams passed away. They appointed somebody. That didn't seem until they had the election and Mary Lee came on. I don't think that's an issue.
You know, that's fine to me. I just wanted to make sure I followed like the logic of the paragraph. I'm good with the paragraph now.
okay. Any other comments? Or questions?
Just curious about the assistant town clerk filling in as in the absence of a town clerk. Any consideration for that?
Well, I guess, that would be the choice of the decision of the assistant clerk. I mean, I suppose the town manager, since the assistant clerk is an employee of the town, and kind of the town manager could say temporarily until we get somebody in. Like if it takes a month before the council can get somebody in and the town clerk has left, then I don't see any reason why the assistant town clerk couldn't fill in for, a short period of time. I'm not sure if that answers your question, or are you suggesting that the vacancy be filled permanently with the assistant? Is that what you're suggesting?
No, just temporarily. No, absolutely not. Temporarily have the assistant town clerk fill in until a candidate is found, and if that language can be inserted here.
Okay. I think we can insert the language. I would like to take the time to get the language right and put it in here somewhere. So I guess maybe what we will do is,
But is that legal though? I mean, can you ask someone to do someone else's job, even if it's temporary?
well, it can be done regardless of whether it's in the charter or not, is what I'm saying. The town manager can ask the assistant clerk to fill in temporarily until the clerk position is filled. So I guess that's what I'm struggling with, is whether we actually need to put something in here, or because it can happen anyways. So,
But my question is, if we put something like that in here, is that even legal? Is it legal for us to do that?
well, I mean, this is going to be reviewed by the town attorney. So if it's not legal, then it would get changed when that gets reviewed. I don't, we can't, every change that we make, Darren, we can't be looking at whether or not it's legal or not. Otherwise, we'd never get anything done, right? But it is a good question, but I think at this point, we'd have to assume it is legal, and if it's not, then it would get changed once the attorney reviews it. So I guess we either accept it the way it is and somebody makes a motion to vote on it, or we table it for now and I go back and come up with some additional language in here and we review it in 2 weeks again.
The assistant clerk covers if the clerk is not available or something. I mean, there's always that back, that's the same in any
Right.
job. You always have a chain of command, and in the absence, that one covers until they come back, if they're on vacation or if they're sick or something. So that's normal. They could be covering until they actually appoint somebody.
That's right. That's right. So that's why I'm saying I'm not sure it's necessary to actually put it in the charter.
Yeah. I, Darren Boston, make a motion to accept the language as it is for filling the vacancy of the town clerk.
Okay, is there a second?
I, Thomas Golden, would second it.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion?
Would the way it's worded prohibit the assistant? I mean, is it a given that the assistant will be filling in anyways until they get somebody, right? You don't
Yeah.
have to have that in the language?
I don't think we need to have that in the language. I really don't. I think that the town manager has discretion to fill it temporarily, for a period of a couple of weeks or a month or whatever is needed before the council can appoint somebody.
Okay.
Okay, so
So the language that you just said sounded really perfect to me, and you're saying that you don't have to put into the charter that the town manager has the discretion to fill the position in the way they seem fit until, you're saying it's implied here, and we don't have to articulate that, what you just said?
that's right. I think Janet articulated it well. When the town clerk currently today is out of the office for whatever reason, a sickness or vacation or whatever, extended absence for whatever reason, there's nothing in the charter that covers how the clerk's job gets done, because the assistant clerk steps in and gets the job done anyways. So that scenario would hold true here in the interim period when the council is looking to backfill the position. The assistant clerk would be, doing those duties. So we have a motion. If there's any further discussion, we have a motion that's been seconded. So I'm going to ask Josh for a roll call.
Ed,
Yes.
Leonie,
Yeah.
Tom,
Yes.
Darren,
Yes.
Janet.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion was approved.
All right. Thank you, Josh. All right. The next item was to regroup and discuss the changing of the town clerk position to city clerk. This was something that Merrill Lee had suggested, and we did discuss it a little bit last time. And then actually, I brought up the issue of why don't we just, make everything in the charter city? Because we are under city form of government, and it makes sense now, I think, to update the charter accordingly to make it consistent throughout. So we decided to table the discussion until tonight. Have you all thought about it a little bit more? Share your thoughts on that.
I have.
Okay.
I'll go first. I have a couple of things. Who has the power, with authority to do that? I would, are we working on the charter are able to just change the wording like that from town to city without having a vote from townspeople? Or, it's like, is that in our realm of duties? Are we able to do that? And also, I've talked to several people about their feelings of, would you like to be called from the town of Bridgewater, or do you want the town to be called the city of Bridgewater? Does it matter to you? And everybody that I spoke to, granted it's not a huge, circle of people, but there wasn't one single person that was in favor of calling ourselves the city of Bridgewater. They prefer town. I personally prefer town. But, to me, it seems like it should be, I don't know how it's done legally to just change it. And there's a lot of things to consider when you change. It's not, there's a lot of things that would end up getting changed, but are we legally able to do that? Or should that be something that's put to a vote by the townspeople?
We're not changing the name of the town, right? We're just changing the name of this position.
Well, he's talking
No.
about changing, well,
I'm not
even
even-
changing the town clerk to city clerk. Who has the authority to be able to just
So,
do that?
yeah, so Janet, just to sort of refresh your memory on what our charge is. So we are making recommendations to update the charter. Our recommendations will then go before the town council. The town council will then review all of our recommendations, and they will decide which ones they want to see go forward and which ones they don't. So whatever they decide ultimately will get sent to the state legislature. The state legislature will then respond back with thumbs up or thumbs down or any minor modifications that they want to make. And then the charter goes before the townspeople for a vote. It has to be voted on at a general election. So we're just making recommendations at this point. Whether they fly or not is another question. We can certainly talk about our recommendations and the reason for our recommendations, substantiate the reasoning behind why we think things should go the way we're recommending. But if the council doesn't agree with it, then they'll change it. Ultimately, they are the legislative body and they will make the final determination of what happens. Now, another comment that I'd like to make is just because if we decided to move forward with this and change everything in the charter from town to city, that doesn't necessarily mean that now all of a sudden everything in the town becomes city. I mean, the council could still say, we want to keep the town name on our trucks, on our vehicles, on our letterhead. We still want to keep town, but the charter will say city. I mean, they have the prerogative to do that. I just feel personally that now, since we're updating the charter, it makes sense to have consistency throughout the charter now.
That's assuming we change the town clerk to city clerk.
Well, we could do that. Yeah, we could do that separately and not change anything else. If that's all we want to do. I just thought, since we're doing the clerk, why not do everything else as well for consistency's sake?
Well, I did talk with people and I know that they say that we're a city because we can call ourselves a city because of the government. I did some research. I don't have anything printed out, but there's a whole mixed bag of, towns that still want to, remain calling towns, even though they may or may not be, considered a city. There's things that you have to do if you want to switch from a city to a town naming. I just couldn't find anything specific of what I was actually looking for to support me, but I personally prefer town. I don't like the city part of naming Bridgewater. I'm not alone in that. So that's all I can say.
Okay. You just don't like the feel of being called a city. You like
we're-
the feel of being a town.
We're not a city in that sense. I mean, if you think about what a city means, but
Yeah.
and like I said, everybody I talked to would prefer to remain known as a town. If you stop putting it in charter, we'll start going to become a city.
What's so bad
Well-
about being a city?
I personally, a city, I don't know how to put it in words. I don't care for city life. I know we're not city life, but when I think of a city, I don't think of Bridgewater. I don't think of, other towns that may have a city form of government, manager and town council or a mayor. Some people think of city, if you like Taunton is a city, they have a mayor. I did see that a town manager and a town council can qualify as mayor, as a city, and the population can be such a vast difference. You can have a small number, you can have a large number, but most cities tend to be a little bit of a larger number, for what I could see. I just don't like the city has a different feel, different meaning to a lot of people. And I guess town feels more homey. I don't know, but
Let me ask you a question, Janet. What if instead of having 28,000 people, we were 50,000 people? Would you still think we're a town?
I would be very disappointed if Bridgewater had 50,000. I can't answer that. I can't, because it would have a different feel altogether.
Yeah, I mean, there are a number of towns, or there are a number of cities in the state that have a lot less people than Bridgewater. In fact, there were many towns that were in this exact same situation that we're in. They passed city charters 10 years ago. And when it came up to do their normal updates, they decided to, make the changes in their charters to bring them up to date. And now they call themselves cities. And I'm trying to remember, like East Long Meadow is the city of East Long Meadow. And there are a number of them out in the western part of the state that are much smaller than Bridgewater. And they just decided that, they're a city form of government. It's a name. It doesn't do anything other than just qualifies what you're saying in the charter. You're a city form of government. Why not call yourself a city? So I know there's two sides to this. Now, another option would be that the council could do what they did last night, and they could put a non-binding referendum advisory question on a ballot sometime and ask the town, would you like to be called a town or a city, and see what people say,
But what's happening here, right? The issue is brought up not because of the name of the city or town. It's the legalities behind it. It is a challenge to be referenced under the town. When you're a town, you have to follow certain guidance and rules, but then you're a city. So it's looking to have more consistency so that the administrative role can be executed more consistently. So we're kind of talking about two different things, right? What do we name ourselves, and that identity that we have, and what are we considered to be legally on the books. And so what Marilee was bringing up, my interpretation of what she's bringing up, to make this job more aligned and easier to manage, just we need to identify as one or the other, because in certain places there's a conflict where depending if you're a town, you have to do one thing, depending if you're a city, you have to do one thing. And Bridgewater is classified as a city regardless of what we call ourselves.
Right. Yeah, well
Right.
said, Cleone.
And the other thing to look at, right, is this is a long-term document. Like, to Ed's 50,000 argument, like, God only, like, there could be a massive, what they call suburban rush out of the city because of COVID, and we could be at 50,000 people by the next time we review this charter. Like, and that could impact it. Like, we are a city by definition. We function with city. It'd give Mary Lee or whoever is serving as the town clerk more access to better resources and trainings by calling that position city clerk. All that stuff speaks to changing it to city clerk, and then and to Ed's point, just carry it out to the rest of it and be consistent.
Okay, well, I mean, what I would like to do is not have to discuss this again. I mean, we certainly can come back to it, but I feel personally like we could move on this tonight and just make a decision to go forward with it or not go forward with it. So we've got plenty of other things on our plate to deal with. We can either do it separately, we can do the clerk separately and then do the rest of it separately, or we can just do it all together and we just say, let's make every reference in the charter where it says town to city, period, and go that way.
I, Thomas Golden, motion to do that, to change the word town to city throughout the entire charter.
Okay, is there a second on that?
I, Cleone Mainville, second that.
Okay, thank you, Cleone. Is there any further discussion? Again, if this is something that that the council does not agree with, then they will change it.
Yeah. I like the idea of keeping the clerk separate, because when Meryl was talking about the subject, she indicated that there would be some benefit to her position if it was city clerk instead of town clerk. But I'm not sure of any benefits to the town to be changed to city, but there seemed to be, she seemed to indicate there was some benefit to her position if she was considered city clerk. That's
okay. So we have a motion, Darren, that's been seconded. Are you saying you want to amend the motion?
Yes, I'd like to amend the motion to separate the town clerk from the rest of the town. I mean, the city, that position to be city clerk, as opposed to the entire town being called a city.
I don't
Okay.
think, Ed, I might be wrong procedurally, but I think because it's my motion, Darren can't amend it. I would have to amend it.
Okay.
Josh,
Yeah,
you might be able to chime in on that.
Yeah, you would have to, you're correct on that.
Yeah, and I don't, like, I think to Cleone's point, like, consistency is key. Like, I would not amend it. Like, I would leave it as city throughout. So I know it's going to fail, but like, that's my motion.
Okay.
So somebody can't amend, put a motion to amend something, or
Yeah,
does
they
it
can't.
have to wait till it gets voted? Because it
We-
seemed like on the town council, they were doing that.
Right. So what happened last night was there was an amendment to the original ordinance, and somebody made an amendment to the amendment, and that took precedent by somebody else. And then they voted on the amendment to the amendment, that failed, and then they were back to the original amendment. So that's the approach that I was going to take here, was if
And it wasn't
Darren,
the original, it wasn't the original person who did the amendment to the amendment.
that's right. That's
So
right.
why can't Darren do that now? I
think he can. I really think he can. I wish Scott was here because I'm not an expert on Robert's rules, but so let's just assume that can happen. So if Darren has made a motion to amend the amendment, Tom's amendment, is there a second to Darren's motion?
I, Janet, second.
Okay,
Darren's amendment.
okay. Is there any discussion on that?
I
Okay,
also have clarity on Robert's rules for this one.
are you looking it up?
I did. So you have to vote on Darren's amendment and then vote on mine again.
Right. Okay,
So 2 votes.
2 votes, right, okay. All right, so we're gonna do a roll call on Darren's amendment right now, which is to modify Tom's amendment to say we're only gonna change the town clerk to city clerk. Right? Everybody clear on that?
Yep.
Josh? Josh, we're gonna do a roll call?
Yep, Ed,
No.
Cleone,
No.
Tom,
No.
Darren,
Yes.
Janet.
Yes,
Okay, with a vote of 3 nays and 2 yay, the motion failed.
Okay, so Darren's motion failed. So now we're back to Tom's motion,
Correct.
which was to change all occurrences of town to city in the charter. And we had a seconded on that. So is there any further discussion on Tom's original motion?
I still think we should have kept it separate. 2 votes.
Well,
Too late
was-
now, yes.
I know.
I didn't,
Welcome.
Okay,
I think
So-
the outcome would still be the same anyway.
so Josh, we'll do a roll call, please.
Okay, Ed,
Yes.
Cleone,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Darren,
No.
Janet.
no,
Thank you. The motion was approved.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you for that, folks. So I'll make the changes and reflect those in our next review. Okay, so the next item that finishes old business. So now we'll get into new business, which is Article 4. And the way we approached this was we split this up between myself, Tom, and Steve. I took sections 4-1 through 4-3. Tom took sections 4-4 through 4-6. And Steve took sections 4-7 through 4-9. So,
Sorry, go ahead. Finish your thought.
so what I've done is I've included all of the bind suggestions in here. And what I wanted to do is begin to walk through and talk about those. So Tom, before I do that.
I just want to, for the record, clarify there was no discussion of this. We each did it independently and just sent it to Ed. He copy and pasted it together, and there was no anything else.
Right. Okay, so section 4-1, which talks about the council appointing the town manager. Couple things. So we got some feedback in the employee questionnaire, feedback that indicated some concerns about the lack of oversight by the town council on the town manager. This kind of gets into a little bit about what Carlton was saying earlier, that there was some suggestions made that perhaps we need to tighten up the charter to ensure that the council is clear on its responsibilities over the town manager. Now, we also have to remember that in our form of government, there is a clear delineation between the legislative branch, which is the town council, and the executive branch, which is the town manager. And it's done on purpose so that they're not getting into each other's domains, more or less, right? So that the town manager, we hire a strong town manager as the chief administrative officer to run the town. And we have an elected 9-member town council that represents the citizens of Bridgewater. That's primary function is to legislate. But the bottom line is that the town council does appoint the town manager, and the town manager is accountable to the town council. In other words, yearly performance reviews are conducted by the town council of the town manager. They have the right to hire and fire the town manager. They do have the ability to tell the town manager to do certain things through ordinance. And Carlton mentioned one of those items, which is number 22. And we'll get down and look at that a little bit further, but it's sort of a delicate balance of being able to tell the town manager what to do versus how to do it, right? The town council should not be micromanaging the town manager, but they should have a say in, giving the town manager some guidance on what to do in certain areas. So in order to be able to sort of strengthen the verbiage, this is what I've added. Instead of just saying the line 4, which is the town council shall appoint by a majority vote of the full town council a town manager, and then then it gets into the responsibilities. What I said was the town manager shall appoint, the town council shall appoint a town manager by a majority vote of the entire membership of the town council. Since the town council bears ultimate responsibility for the management of the town manager will serve at the pleasure or will of the council and is bound by whatever legislative policy actions the council takes. So that was my attempt at strengthening the ability of the council to hold the town manager accountable. Any thoughts, comments?
I mean, I like it.
Would the word pleasure be misinterpreted?
Well, that's why I said, I said or will. I mean, you can look up the definition of pleasure. I could go either way on this, but the bottom line is the town manager is there to serve the people of the town, and the council are the representatives of the people.
So I'm with Janet. I had a reaction to seeing that kind of term in a legal document, pleasure and will. And so I would want a different kind of word to be used in that space.
Okay.
And I apologize for not, the town will serve at the discretion.
/ will or pleasure. Yeah, discretion sounds good.
Well, it'd be nice to have one word instead of two.
Right.
Serve at I don't know if the discretion is the right word though. If you look up the definition of pleasure, serve at the pleasure of the council. If somebody wants to Google that.
It just sounds funny. Can it just say will of the council?
Yep. Yep. Anybody find that?
Looking.
You want the whole phrase or just the word?
Well, that pleasure, pleasure is, if you do a lookup on just pleasure, you're not going to get the real meaning of how it's used in this sentence. I think you got to Google serve at the pleasure of to get the definition. What does serve at the pleasure of actually mean?
Okay. Okay, dictionarylaw.com.
Helps if I spell serve right. Definitions of serve at its pleasure is what I got, even though I didn't say, to have a job or position in a business organization that may be lost at, no, that's not what we want.
It's a very common term, by the way. If you Google that, you'll see that it comes up a lot with city councils and town councils. It's the president. Congress serves at the pleasure of the president, and
Well, according to Webster, it says, used to say that something is done or can be done because someone wants it to be done. The example is serve at the pleasure of the president, and I will continue to serve as long as the president wants me to.
right. Yeah.
Hated it then too. I have heard it, especially during this political climate. And, you know, there's a lot of common words that have been used in history that we have now come to understand is just, you know, kind of outdated and not appropriate. So again, I've heard it used in that context, and I completely understand. But you know, and then you hear it in those references, it's usually the singular person, right? Here is a body of people that it's 9 representative of a community. And, you know, I hate to interrogate this word without a better one to put in its place. But I think that it is a weak term, not personally, Ed, but it's just a weak term to put when it is for what it represents. And I suspect that in several years, this would be an outdated term at some point, or at least I hope it would be.
Yeah. I mean, in our form of government, the council manager form of government, it says that appointed managers serve at the pleasure of the governing body. So, I mean, it's a pretty common term, and it's used throughout, you know, the country, actually. I mean, we could just take pleasure out and say serve at the will of the council. I don't know legally if that changes anything or not. I mean, I'm sure we'll find out if we did that. But I left them both in there because I wasn't sure. And maybe I can follow up with Jason offline to ask him, you know, legally if there's an issue with using either one of them. I know there would not be an issue if we just used pleasure. What I don't know if there would be an issue if we just used at the will of the council. So are we okay, other than using that word? Are we okay with the rest of the paragraph? Do you think it strengthens the council? And I'm not saying this is the only thing we need to do, but it's the introduction. Yeah. It's the introduction. So
what I was looking up what other words mean for, you know, synonyms for pleasure, and one is satisfaction, gladness, happiness. I mean, there's all different ways to take the word pleasure, but satisfaction, at the satisfaction of the council.
Yeah, that might work.
I like that as well.
That's a more pleasing word.
Pleasure doesn't sit well, and it's something I've never paid attention to. I didn't have to, you know.
Whoops. Will serve at the satisfaction of the council.
Would you keep the will or with that, or?
No, probably not. I really only want to use one word, and I think.
Yeah, that sounds good. I think it sounds good.
So that kind of implies that if the council's not satisfied, then there's an issue, right? So we can leave that. I'm okay with it. And if we come up with something different after the fact, then we'll just have to re-vote on it.
And approval wouldn't work, right?
Serve at the approval of the council.
Endorsement. Because when you smiled and snickered a little bit, then satisfaction didn't seem that great. Endorsement.
I don't know if endorsement would fit.
No, I don't think so either. I mean, it's
Okay.
a good
Approval.
alternative, but what did you say?
Approval.
Approval, serve at the approval of the council. So we have to be careful here. Again, we can't micromanage. So almost, to me, approval is almost too strong. The town manager will serve at the approval of the council and is bound by whatever policy action the council takes.
I like satisfaction. But I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
no, I tend to like that too. I think it's a nice middle ground.
So I don't want to be that guy, but if you Google the phrase town manager will serve at, the next phrase, the pleasure of, is like a whole bunch of different towns. Town of Simsbury, Barrington, Tiverton. I don't know what town that is. I can't pronounce that.
That's what,
Hampton.
that's what I'm telling you. It's everywhere.
like
It's
it's-
the common term that's used.
And I know that like we might not like it on a personal level, but like it seems pretty ubiquitous.
Again, there's lots of common terms that have been used throughout history that we've adopted without interrogating it. And I am not arguing that this is a widely used term. And maybe it has to do, the two women in the group are reacting to the word pleasure. Who knows if it's a gender, but there is just something about that word. Yes, it's widely used. Many terms have been widely used a long time. And I think with the current climate, we will come to understand that this term used in this context is going to be kind of emotionally charged in the future. So again, I'm not coming at it from a rational, that we're the only one. That's not the argument here. There's something about that word. I find it, it's just, especially in a legal document, and there's other language that's used, it just doesn't sit or complement the other legal jargon that's throughout this document. But again, I'm not willing to hang my hat or get too stuck on this. Satisfaction is fine, and but I just wanted to share in this space that there is an emotional response when I read that word pleasure in a legal document, and I suspect it will be outdated at some point.
So can I mean, if we're really that set against it, whatever, can we just change the town manager serves at the will of the town council?
Yeah, that's another.
Not to read the chat room that I'm not supposed to be reading.
That's fine.
Somebody from the public commented.
Shame on you.
Yeah, my bad.
No,
I
I mean,
phoned a friend. It's fine.
That was one of the words I had in there. So I think that's fine. I think
Yeah, but you
that's
can't
fine.
say will serve at the will, right? The town manager serves at the will of.
Town managers,
So replace will, get rid of the word will and change, just add an S to serves.
I'm just reading the whole context here to make sure it serves at the well. Is there another word we could put in there? I mean, we don't want to say may serve. It is a will serve. Another word for will here that we can do?
Must, shall, must, or shall.
Oh, shall serve at the will of the council.
So shall usually means that that's an option. So if we
Option.
want, it should be a must, right? Because shall means may. It's another way to say may.
That's pretty strong.
Yeah, that's good, I think.
Yeah, the town manager must serve at the will of the council and is bound by whatever legislative policy action the town council takes. That's good, Cleone. I like that. Okay, wow, that was a good discussion. Are we done here? Are we in a point where somebody feels confident to make a motion?
I Darren Boston, make a motion to accept the language.
Lines 5
Regarding-
through 8.
Yeah, regarding town manager and town council.
Okay, is there a second?
I, Thomas Golden, second the motion.
Okay, any further discussion? All right, Josh, we're going to take a roll call vote on lines 5 through 8.
Ed,
Yes.
Cleone,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Darren,
Yes.
Janet.
Yes,
You're on. Yep.
yes.
Thank you. The motion was approved.
Okay, great. All right, moving down.
Actually, I had a question on line 15. I wanted a little bit of clarification. It says 15, there seems to be an extra town in there, and I just wanted to confirm that. Let's see if it jumped because of the changes we've made. I have here experience as a town or town manager. I didn't understand that.
Where-
Prior experience as a town or town manager.
I'm looking at, you mean
It's
line
10.
10? Line 10?
10, yeah, it shifted because of the changes we made.
Town manager should be a person of proven administrative ability, especially qualified by education and training with prior experience as a town or town manager. Yeah, that's right, as a town manager. So that's good catch.
Do we need that to be city? Should it be city or town manager or?
It will be city when I go through and make all the changes. I'm going to make every occurrence of town is going to say city.
So then we would need the town, right? Because what you're asking is that they must have experience managing a town or a city. So I guess,
Well, but that way, with the way that read though, let me just, whoops, shoot.
They would be able to have experience from a town. You don't have to necessarily be from a city to qualify, would you?
It said prior experience as a town, comma, town manager or an assistant town or town manager. There's too many towns in there.
Yeah,
So
Yeah, I
it
think
should
one of
just,
them-
it
Maybe
should
it
just
should be a
read
city.
as a town manager or an assistant town manager. So this stuff here shouldn't be here.
But are you saying that they can't have city, if you're gonna change town to city, much to my, not thrilled,
So, I
but
see what you're saying. So we could do this. We could say town
City.
/ city manager. If you want to do that, is that what you're saying? You want to,
well, yeah, they don't need to, because if you're limiting it to that, okay, they've only had town manager experience, city experience, we can't, or, well, if you're gonna be switching to a city, but it shouldn't matter if it was a town or a city. I wouldn't
Right.
think.
right. So you're saying don't even put those words in there?
No, I didn't mean that. I just,
Oh, okay.
you know how you had town or town manager? If it said city or town manager or town or city manager,
So
'cause
how
you
is
said
this?
it was-
How is this if I just say as a town / city manager or as an assistant town / city manager?
That's fine.
Could we just, instead of saying town, city, just municipality manager?
Yeah, that would work. That would work. As a municipal manager.
Yep.
That works. Thanks, Tom. All right, that was a good catch, Cleone. Anything else here that you see? We want to vote, we have to vote on this.
No,
So,
I didn't catch anything else.
okay, can somebody make a motion to approve this rewording here?
I, Cleone Mainville. See, yes, I don't do this often. I, Cleone Mainville, motion to change line 10 to state municipal manager or an assistant municipal manager.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I, Thomas Golden, will second.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Okay, if not, Josh, we're going to take a roll call on changes to line 10.
Ed,
Yes.
Cleone,
Yeah,
Tom,
Yes.
Darren,
Yes,
Janet.
Yes,
Thank you. The motion was approved.
Okay, thank you. All right, so here are the administrative powers and duties. The numbers here reflect what Carlton was talking about earlier. So the first one that he identified was number 19, I believe.
Yeah.
Here it says to assist the town council to develop long-term goals for the town and strategies to implement these goals. So are we happy with the way that's worded, or is there something we need to strengthen in there?
Carlton's impassioned speech makes me think so. So,
Well, so this basically says that the town manager will assist the town council in developing long-term goals for the town and strategies to implement these goals. I mean, that's not, so that's part of his or her job is to help the council develop long-term goals and strategies.
but I think Carlton's point was assist is too ambiguous, right?
All right,
what would you put in it?
so I wanted to, yeah.
I would,
Go ahead. I'm
my
sorry.
pitch would be to change it to aid. So the town manager shall aid the town council in the development of long-term goals and town strategies.
you're saying replace the word assist with the word aid?
More or less, you have to tweak it around to make it grammatically accurate, but yeah.
So I think what Carlton was getting at, and I'll just put it out there just so that, you know, the public understand my learning style. Like, I'm a visual person. And so when it's coming to these kinds of changes, it's really helpful for me to kind of see them so that I can picture them. So what I'm hearing Carlton say is that, you know, a little bit more directive. Like, if we were videotaping the town manager assisting the town, like, what would we see? Because it's just not very descriptive. And I'm wondering if, you know, changing assist may not really get to that point.
Okay.
Coordinate, that's not really what they do, is it?
Well, it really, I mean, it's assist, help. I was thinking drive, drive the development of.
Provide recommendations for, you know, like, can we just explain what that assist would look like? Is he providing recommendation? Is he lending resources? Is he finding expertise? I'm wondering if that's what would get to that, right? Like, what would that assist look like?
so what about something like defining duties and long-term goals? Assist with defining duties and long-term goals.
Yeah, so duties is probably not the right word, Darren, because this is more of a planning, long-term planning, strategizing. But then at the end, it says to implement these goals, to assist the council to develop to implement these goals.
I personally don't see what is wrong with assist. I might be missing something.
I think it's its ambiguity. It doesn't say how in much work or how little work that person is required to do, or what direction to Cleone, what I think to steal Cleone's word, there's no direction or.
Well, yeah, I think
Detail.
the general feeling right now is that the town manager is sort of doing this on his own. And there's not a lot of collaboration with the town council. So what the desire is to try and strengthen this a little bit, to not force the town manager, but to, I guess, enable the collaboration more.
So when I hear terms like that, right, what comes to mind is like effective communication will ensure that there is effective and deliberate cooperation, deliberation, one of those things. So to get to what your point is, Ed, does that kind of stimulate anybody's thinking, or is there a reaction to that?
How about we say something like to fully cooperate with the town council in developing long-term goals and town strategies. To fully engage, fully cooperate. I think that's what we're trying to get at here, is so that it's not something that is done, individually. It's done in a collaborative way. So to fully engage with the town council, in developing long-term goals and town strategies.
Can we substitute fully with effective engagement?
That's not a verb. I'd like to replace
effectively
to effectively engage with. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Is it A or E? Is it effectively or effectively?
Oh, that's always a tough word.
I think it's effectively.
To effectively engage with the town council. Sorry, it's so slow here. To effectively engage with the town council to develop long-term goals for the town and strategies to implement these goals. So we basically took a watered down assist and we strengthened the verb to say here now that the town manager will effectively engage.
It's actually effectively. I'm sorry, I just looked it up.
Thank you. I like that. Everybody okay with it? Somebody want to make a motion to accept it or get something different?
I, Darren Boston, make a motion to accept the language added to line 19 or section.
Okay,
19.
is there a second?
Hi, Janet Hansen, second.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, Josh, we're going to take a roll call, and this is Article 4, Section 4-2, line 19.
Okay. Ed,
Yes.
Cleone,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Darren,
Yes.
Janet.
Yes,
Thank you. The motion was approved.
Okay, thank you. The next one that Carlton identified was number 22. To perform such other duties as necessary or as may be assigned by this charter, by ordinance, or by vote of the town council. Carlton's comment was maybe we should strengthen it to say order. Maybe add that in there or change ordinance order. To be honest with you, I'm not totally clear on the difference. I guess an order is stronger than an ordinance. I mean, we could just say by ordinance, comma, order, or by vote of the town council.
Should we say
Definite-
majority vote?
We can. Is that a majority of the full council or just a majority of the present council?
Full?
That means all 9 members have to be present, right?
Oh, now I don't know. I didn't know. I thought it was so the majority of the 9, is that what you're saying?
A full council is all members have to be present. So if you just say by a majority
Yeah.
vote of the council, if they have a quorum, then it's the majority of the quorum.
I would be advocating for the majority of the full town council.
Okay. I wonder if we're shooting ourselves in the foot maybe with this on the full, because I wonder if there's something that the council wants to have done and there's for some reason the full council can't be there. I mean, sometimes people have issues where they can't be at the meeting. Then if it's a full council, they can't pass this. Like somebody's on vacation or somebody's out sick or something. If we put full in there, then, and they want him to do something or her to do something, the full council has to be there in order for it to pass.
So I was under the impression that he would be executing legislative actions. Are there other things? And can a legislative action be approved without the full council? I think I'm missing something.
So I guess it depends on whether it's an ordinance, an order, or a resolution. I mean, they have these are all defined more fully in the administrative code, but these aren't necessarily legislative things. I mean, they pass it through legislation, but for example, if the town council wanted to have a certain building in town identified as something specific. Maybe they want to have this building be used for a certain purpose, maybe a museum or something. I'm just saying, then the council could issue an ordinance that gives the town manager direction to say what they want to have done. They just can't tell them how to do it, but they give them the direction on what needs to be done. So it's not a legislative thing that they're telling him to do. They're just telling him through legislation that we want to have you to do this. Does that clarify clearly?
And can that, yes, it can. And can that legislation occur without the majority of the full town council?
I think it generally does. There's only certain things that require the full council to be present, and I don't know what those are, but generally speaking, they vote on ordinances and resolutions and orders. You know, they do that all the time, and it's not everybody's always there. They have to have a quorum.
I see.
To
Now,
me,
if you were
reading
gonna,
this,
for example, if you're gonna fire the town manager, you probably want the full council there, right? That's an important piece of work that the council would do. You'd probably want to have everybody present. I don't necessarily know that, you know, if you're wanting to give the town manager, you want to tell them to do something in town, whether the whole town, the whole council needs to be there or not. So I guess I'm just questioning the word full, whether we need that or not.
Yeah, I would think we'd want to remove it if it limits us.
It could be a limiting factor,
And-
that's all I'm saying.
And wouldn't they, since our work is, there's an overview from the council, they could also could take it out if we left it in there, right? But if we take it out, that's never an option. But if we left it in, they said, oh, heck no, we don't want to do that. They'll just remove it, right?
They will, yep. Yep. So are you feeling like you want to leave it in there and then let them remove it if they feel they want to do that?
rereading it, I would say take it out.
Okay,
And to read, perform such duties, it reminds me of job descriptions that I've been in at the very bottom, and to perform, other duties. It's like it kind of covers if they want to tell me to go sweep the floor, so I just had to laugh at the way it's worded. It just reminded me of job descriptions. This is your duties, and they list everything, and at the very bottom, and to perform any other duties.
Yeah.
But it's,
okay. Would somebody like to make a motion to approve the changes to line 22?
Not line 22, right?
Sure, item 22. Yep.
Okay. I, Thomas Golden, will motion to approve the changes to item 22.
Is there a second?
I, Darren Boston, second the motion.
Okay, thank you, Darren. Any further discussion? If not, Josh, roll call. This is again, section 4-2 of Article 4, item number 22.
Okay, Ed,
Yes.
Cleone,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Darren,
Yes.
Janet.
yes,
Thank you. The motion was approved.
Okay, thank you. Moving down to item number 25. Carlton made the point here that he would like to see it strengthened for appointed or standing committees. Right now, the way it reads, it says to promote partnerships among the town council, staff, citizens, and businesses in developing public policy and building a sense of community. So I understand his point. It's a good point. And so what we could say here is we could say town council, staff, and maybe right before citizens, we say appointed and or standing committees. Citizens and businesses in developing public policy and building a sense of community.
So I wanted to build on that a little bit more for the same reason why we wanted to change assist, when I wanted to kind of have us think about the part where we say here to promote partnerships. Like, what does that mean? Like just whispering into someone's ear, and that, I would want to see a little bit more descriptive. And so something like engages in regular two-way communication, or, something that you can measure to say, you know what, that is indeed promoting partnerships. So
Okay,
I would like to.
communication, that word was good.
What if we said to promote partnerships through or by, what did you say?
I have
Communicate. Go ahead.
two-way communication
By promoting partnerships by engaging,
and regular two-way proficient communication.
I don't know if I want to put two-way, just say engaging in regular communication.
So the reason why I want some two-way because, and I don't know if this is the right spot, right? Because what's happening here now is that in some spaces, folks are feeling that they're communicating effectively by just sending information out, regardless if it ever gets read or how it lands. And I want some language to kind of capture like a feedback loop, right? Just because you put it out there and you put it somewhere that nobody else reads, it's just like, I've done my part to promote it. But there needs to be, I'm looking for something a little bit more deliberate and using multiple ways to communicate, right? There's a lot of heavy reliance on one language, or town is getting a lot more diverse. And then it's on electronic only. So really capturing, multiple formats, two-way communication.
Okay, how does that look?
If we could also add multiple formats.
Where?
After communication by multiple formats.
By engaging in regular two-way communication.
In multiple formats among town council. I don't know.
This is going to become a very fragmented sentence. It's a very long sentence. I'm not sure, do we really need multiple formats? I mean, if in fact he is able to achieve this, do we really care what format it's done in? That's telling him how to do his job, not the what he should be doing.
Well, we're not telling him the format. So I see how this plays out on the school committee side. And so I'm bringing that experience over here when we're not descriptive enough on how our community leaders communicate with those they look to serve or influence or bring into the conversation, then we don't have a level of consistency. And so depending on one town manager to the next, 1 year to the next, just saying things and putting it out there does not mean that you're getting full community engagement. And so if this is not the right space, maybe there's another place to put it, but I am really advocating for the way we communicate with our community and our partners and our stakeholders to be as descriptive as possible, because right now the feedback that we've gotten from the survey is that, we're losing the ability to know what's going on. We don't know what's going on. We're not being engaged. So if we're more descriptive here, then I think that may help.
Okay. I'm not disagreeing with you, Cleone. I'm just trying to get at
How about the word effective, two-way effective communication? I mean, if something effective, it's
measurable.
So does that accommodate what you were talking about, two-way effective communication? I thought you said something about multiple media or something like that earlier.
So I am layering it that way, right? Two-way effective communication using multiple formats. So those are the things that I'm trying to get in, and to your point, to be more concise. Perhaps, I don't know if I don't want it to take up too much time. We could either keep working at it here, or I can work on it and then bring it back to the committee at another time. But if we can squeeze those two things, right? The effective communication, two-way and multiple formats, then I'll be happy.
Well, so if I think we can if we just say by engaging in regular two-way effective communication in multiple formats.
Yes.
The problem is they're gonna say, well, what is that? What's a multiple formats? Do you have, that's
We don't
kind
have
of-
to dictate that because we're leaving it to him to determine that, right? Because to your point, we don't want to micromanage,
Yeah.
but multiple formats could mean anything this year versus next year, right? Multiple format. Now we have Zoom. We didn't have Zoom before, so I wouldn't want to be that specific because things can change, but at least try more than one way to communicate with these stakeholders.
Okay. So the way it reads right now is to promote partnerships by engaging in regular two-way effective communication in multiple formats. And I put a comma.
I just got back.
Yeah, I see that you dropped, Janet. Among town council, staff, appointed and/or standing committees, citizens and businesses in developing public policy and building a sense of community.
That works. Thank you.
Yeah, I think this
For
is
me
okay.
anyway.
Yep, it's good. All right, somebody want to make a motion to approve item 25?
I, Cleone Mainville, make a motion to approve item 25.
Is there a second?
I, Janet Hansen, second.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, Josh, we're approving voting here on item 25, section 4-2.
Ed,
Yes.
Cleone,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Darren,
Yes.
Janet.
Yes,
Thank you. The motion was approved.
Okay, thank you. All right, the last item here is to hold regular informational sessions with departments and community-based organizations. And so this is something that is kind of, not being done. I think we got to be a little more specific to hold regular informal sessions.
So Ed, I do have an opinion on this one. I would say changing regular to quarterly at a minimum, because regular just means they have to be occurring.
So do we want them to be formal? Because this says a quarterly formal informational sessions.
I mean, the other option is to define what an informational session is. And formal might add layers of restrictions that I don't know about, like open meeting law type stuff that they have to abide by.
Yeah. So you understand that the gist of this one here is really just to ensure that there's communication going on, interdepartmental communication with community-based organizations.
Right.
So it's internal communicating with external and vice versa. And to the extent that it's not really happening today, can we phrase this in such a way that holds the town manager more accountable?
I actually would phrase it to hold informational sessions, comma, at least quarterly, comma, with department heads and community-based organizations. Because that way, minimum standard is quarterly, but monthly for those that warrant it, it's available.
So should we say to hold monthly and or quarterly?
I would say at least quarterly, because if monthly isn't warranted,
Yeah.
Well, there's an or, so it's and or.
right? So like if it was at least quarterly, more frequently wouldn't be a problem. Less frequently would be a problem.
Or no less than quarterly, to hold no less than quarterly informational sessions with department heads. What do you mean by informational sessions? Do we need to be more descriptive about that?
I don't think so. I mean, I think it's really just sharing information. I mean, and it can be about anything. It can be about projects that are going on. It can be soliciting feedback from the community on what they see as working and not working. I think if you try and qualify it, there's just going to be too many different options to, you're gonna leave something out. So I think if we just leave it as informational, that's my opinion.
So if he decides to email these folks a packet that includes things that were done, or call folks in and hand that to them, is that enough?
Well, that's not a session. He's not conducting an informational session just by sending an email to people. Maybe we should say conduct instead of to hold.
Host. Conduct. Is it to conduct no less than quarterly information sessions with the department heads and community members, member-based organizations, to relay I don't know. Is that enough? Like, are we capturing enough here about what should happen or the nature of those discussions? Or you just want to make sure that they punctuate with something? It could be something as, let's have a holiday party versus something about process or administrative things. It does not matter here, just to touch base with community. Mm-hmm.
Do we need to be that specific here, or can that go in the administrative code and this just sets the bar of?
Well, what's the purpose of this, I guess? And I was going to say, maybe we add something at the end here that says to promote. What are we trying to promote by doing this? What is it? What's the value of doing this? Is it
To keep people informed it's not a big meeting. It's just, adding, this is it's kind of an update on what's going on in between things. It'd be hard to pinpoint specifics because then you might leave out something.
right? That's what I was thinking. I mean, is it to promote transparency in town government?
I like that.
To keep everybody up to date.
And engagement, I like, well, I think I've overused that word already.
I mean, isn't it to keep everybody up to date?
Yeah. Maybe this is a byproduct. By doing this, you're going to have more transparency. Maybe that's not really needed. Yeah, I think I think you're right, Janet. I think it's really just to make sure that information is being shared both internally and externally within our town government.
How, just to throw it out there and see if you, or to promote continuous collaboration, can we add that, or you'd like it as it is?
To promote further collaboration. Continuous, okay.
Well, hopefully it's continuous collaboration since we're going quarterly to quarterly.
You should highlight the no less than quarterly too, because that was a change.
Sorry, yeah, you're right. Should I say to promote continuous collaboration? I mean, that seems like, I was thinking the internal versus external government. To promote continuous collaboration across Um, hmm. I don't know, we can just leave it at that, I guess.
Should it be communication or?
No, I like to promote continuous collaboration. I was just thinking, with whom? To promote continuous collaboration between,
Departments, there's a term further on, interdepartmental
interdepartmental is between departments, right?
and across, and
To promote
every-
collaboration. So it's collaboration between the government and the community. To promote continuous collaboration
But isn't part of it that the departments need to communicate as well, or is that not an issue right now?
Well, the departments, yeah, this is really what we're asking the town manager to do, right? To keep the community-based organizations informed with what's going on. The departments communicating with one another is a different issue. That you know, that's something separate from this, I think.
Why can't it just stay the way, end right there? Is it?
It can. I just felt like there was something missing at the end, that's all. We can leave it. If everybody's comfortable with it, we can just leave it as is. Okay, would someone like to make a motion to approve item 26 as modified?
Can we add some commas? So to conduct, comma, no less than quarterly, comma.
Well, there's no comma needed after to conduct. To conduct no less than quarterly informational sessions, right? To conduct no less than quarterly information with departments and community-based organizations, comma, to promote continuous collaboration. You really think one belongs here?
I thought, I'm not a grammar aficionado, so I will not opine.
Well, that means that means you would pause as you're reading it. So to conduct no
Right,
less.
so, because it's adding a clarifying clause, right? So the sentence without the middle section would be to conduct information sessions with departments, blah, blah, blah. And then you're adding a whole new clause. So I thought it would be comma, comma, but I could be wrong.
Are you saying commas here?
Yeah, so
Quarterly. Okay, all right, I'm fine with that. It'll all get straightened out at the end anyways.
right, yeah.
You need is there a space between the comma and information? I can't tell.
That's what that little dot before the I is.
Oh, is it space?
Yeah, that's an easier way to see a space with the markup.
Yeah, okay. I see it better now. It just looked like it was too close.
Okay. Anyone make a motion? Still thinking it through, huh?
I motion to approve the changes on the screen for number 26.
For a second?
I, Cleone Mean, vote second.
Okay, any further discussion? All right, Josh, we need a roll call. We're approving changes made to section 4-2, item 26.
Ed,
Yes.
Cleone,
Yes,
Tom,
Yes.
Darren. Darren, you're on mute.
Yes.
Janet,
Yes,
thank you. The motion was approved.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'm looking at the time here and what is it, 7:42? We still got a little ways to go here. Is everybody okay if we go over our time tonight so we can get through this?
I
So
do have to leave at 7:55. I'm sorry.
Okay,
I'm fine going on, Ed.
we have a quorum, so we'll help. If Janet, Thomas, Darren, and myself can stay on, then we have a quorum. We can finish it up. There's not a whole lot, but there's, we gotta get through the rest of these sections.
That's
So we
fine.
also, don't forget, are going to second vote on this later on down the line. So
Okay, so let's move down. I can tell you, there is no other changes that I made in section 4-3. Everything was fine there. Tom, you had sections 4 through 6, these 3 sections here, and you had no changes here, right?
I don't have any changes unless people want to discuss them, but I thought they were pretty straightforward. The title pretty much says what the following paragraphs say. I don't have any grammatical or anything.
Yep. Okay. And then, yeah, the only change here, I guess, was, did I make this? Or did Steve make this? Or did you make this?
I did not.
I must have made this after the fact. So right now, the way it says, the appointment of the acting town manager, this is if the town manager leaves and the town council makes somebody acting. It says the appointment of the acting town manager shall be for a term not to exceed, it said 3 months. I changed it to 6. The reason that, and I think this is what the former charter review committee had as well. This, I mean, it takes time to get a town manager. This isn't a quick process. So we would need to have an acting town manager in there for more than 3 months. So 6 months is probably adequate. So that's why this was changed here. Okay, everybody okay with that?
I can't remember exactly, but we did something like that with one of the other things too, that we added a little time because it can take time. Maybe it was the library trustee,
It might have been, I don't remember,
Yeah.
but
because it
I
takes
think
time.
yeah, I think that giving an interim 6 months while the council is going through the whole process of, reviewing, sending out, reading resumes, getting interviews, all that stuff, that can take sometimes up to a year to hire a new town manager. So did somebody make a motion to approve this change?
I, Janet Hanson, approved the change to, what are we on, 4-6?
4-6, yep.
Line, the 6 months, changing 3 to 6 months.
Okay, is there a second?
I, Thomas
got-
Golden, will second.
Which line was that?
We're actually in section 4-6. And I don't know why the lines changed here. It went from 32 back to 1.
You have a section break somewhere.
Yeah, maybe that's right here.
But I mean, you could just have the motion as to approve section 4-6 as presented on screen.
Right, yeah. So Janet, you want to restate your motion just to approve changes to section 4-6?
I, Janet Hanson, motion to approve the changes to section 4-6.
Okay, is there a second?
I, Thomas Golden, will second again.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Josh, we need a roll call on this one?
Ed,
Yes?
Leonie,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Darren,
Yes,
Janet.
Yes,
Thank you. The motion was approved.
Thank you. Okay, now we're into Steve's sections here. He actually made a comment. Let me see if I can bring the comments up. I think do I have to stop sharing my screen? It's not letting me. Town manager shall designate by letter filed with the town clerk, town council and town clerk, a qualified officer of the town to perform the duties of the town manager during a temporary absence or disability.
did he add that?
I don't remember.
I'm trying to find.
I have it up on my other computer. Let me just look at this here. Okay, so his comment here was that temporary absence or disability should be specific with a number of days. That's why I highlighted it. I mean, I understand his point. I'm a little reluctant to actually want to put a number of days on there because sometimes these temporary absences, you don't know what's going on, right? I mean, you could have a death in the family. There could be any kind of an unknown circumstance that comes up. To set a time frame on what the absence or disability can be, I think is unreasonable.
And if we read later on, it says the council may not revoke until 14 days. So is that what he's trying to say, that so up until 14 days? I wonder if he's referencing that 14 days and how that correlates to that.
Yeah, I don't, he can be confused about it. They're two different things, right? He's just saying that he thinks that a temporary absence should be defined by a number of days. The next statement says the council may not revoke the designation until at least 14 days have elapsed, whereupon it may appoint such other person to perform the duties. So that's a different thing. So I'm not sure I agree with what Steve is saying. I think it's fine the way it is. I don't think we need to actually say how many days. So unless somebody wants to make a motion to make a change here.
Ed, I'm sorry, I had lost Zoom, so I didn't hear what you said, Steve said about that. I
Oh,
keep
okay,
losing
sorry.
Zoom.
So Steve's comment here was that he felt that maybe we should consider putting a number of specific days on a temporary absence or a disability. And I just said, I thought it was unreasonable to, to do that because there's so many unknowns. Usually with a temporary absence, things come out of left field. You never know. Somebody dies, you get sick, something happens, you have an issue with a child, you have to leave the job temporarily. I think it's a little unreasonable to put a time frame on that.
Yeah, because don't you have like family, I don't know what, family medical leave? I mean, you're supposed to be guaranteed your job still. So yeah, it's like who determines how much time is lapsed? 6 months, a year?
Yeah. I mean, a temporary absence could turn into a permanent absence, depending on what the situation is. But
Right.
I just think that the way it's worded is fine right now. I don't think we need to expound upon that at all. So is somebody going to make a motion or should we move on?
I think we can move on because the next paragraph highlighted kind of covers that.
Yep. Okay. So let me see what his comment on this one was. He said he likes this option or something similar. Town manager, now let's see, is this something new? Let me see.
Well, that was so I have it in your markup. Of course, I don't have the OG charter.
I think this is something he's just added. Actually, no, he didn't. I don't think he added this.
Yes, he did.
He did?
Yeah. So I'm looking at the original town charter. Yeah, the lines 12 through 16 are not in the charter that's on the town website.
Okay, so he must have added this then.
I mean, I like that.
Okay. Town manager shall appoint a person from, it should say his or her, or we got to get rid of the gender. The town manager shall appoint a person from the department heads to act for him, oh geez, when he is absent from his office. The town council shall appoint a person to act for the town manager in the event that he's absent for more than 30 days. No person appointed by the town manager to act for him in his absence shall serve more than 21 days without approval by the town council. Okay, so
How can you
that's
have,
sort of, go ahead, Janet.
I'm just trying to reread it. You have 30 days, and all of a sudden it's 21 days. So I'm just trying to figure that out.
So what about the assistant town manager?
Yeah,
Does that describe that they take like the first 2 weeks anywhere?
no. I mean, I don't think it's necessarily the default that if the town manager has a temporary absence, that it's automatically the assistant town manager. I think the town manager should be able to appoint anyone from his department heads to act in that capacity. I mean, maybe there's something going on at the time when he leaves and he feels more comfortable that the police chief should be acting for him as opposed to the assistant town manager.
And I would be looking for consistency here with the assistant, whatever language or what we implied under the assistant town clerk with the town clerk be applied here. So if we did not specifically mention assistant town clerk, then maybe we shouldn't be mentioning specifically the assistant town manager.
Yeah.
Just for consistency's sake. I have to run. Thank you, everybody.
Okay. See you next time, Leonie. Okay. So I tend to agree, Tom, with Cleone's comment. I think we should leave the assistant town manager out of it for now.
Okay.
I guess what I'm not sure about is, does this section replace? It doesn't replace what's above it. It just adds to it, right?
Correct. Right.
So the town, let's read through it one more time slowly. The town manager shall appoint a person from his department heads to act for him when he is absent from his office for 30 days or less. The town council shall appoint a person to act for the town manager in the event that he is absent for more than 30 days. No person appointed by the town manager to act for him in his absence shall serve more than 21 days without approval by the town council. So so it's
But-
basically, go ahead.
I'm sorry, if he's absent for 30 days or less, he can appoint a person, but that person can't serve for more than 21 days without approval from the town council?
Right.
Why would it be 21? Why not just,
Well, because 21 is
Yeah.
through like 3 weeks, right? I think
Okay.
you're just saying that he can appoint somebody.
okay, all right, yeah, I'm reading it now, I can see, all right, sorry.
Ed, I just need to pause a second. We do have to have a motion to extend past 8 o'clock if we are going to do that.
Oh, right, okay.
So I, Thomas Golden, would motion to extend the meeting by 30 minutes to end at 8:30 PM.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, and what if we don't, I would like to get through, we only got a couple more sections. What if we don't get through them?
We can make another motion again at 8:25.
Okay, is there a second to Tom's motion?
Darren Boston second Tom's motion to extend past 8 PM.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, Josh, we have a motion to extend our meeting to 8:30. Roll call, please.
Okay, Ed,
Yes?
Tom,
Yes.
Darren,
Yes.
Janet,
Yes,
thank you. The motion was approved.
Okay, great. All right, so what I want to do before we approve it is I want to take the gender terms out.
Mhm.
So the town manager shall appoint a person from the department heads to act
That's a tricky one.
No,
Act for them.
to act when the town manager,
Yeah,
whoops, sorry, is absent we don't need to say from his, we could say is absent.
for 30 days. Yeah, you don't need from his office because
Yeah.
that's obvious.
The town manager shall appoint a person from the department heads to act when the town manager is absent for 30 days or less. The town council shall appoint a person to act for the town manager in the event that the town manager is absent for more than 30 days. No person appointed by the town manager to act shall serve more than 21 days without approval by the council. That look okay?
Do we need that in there? Can we say the event, in the event, the town manager?
Where's,
Shall appoint a person to act for the town manager in the event that the town manager is absent. Yeah, I think we do need that. Do we or not? In the event,
In the event the town manager is absent, I don't think we need that. Yeah.
okay, I'll take it out. All right, somebody want to make a motion to approve changes in section 4-7?
is the temporary absence of disability, that's not a change, right?
No, that was just a comment, so I'm gonna,
Unhighlight it.
yep. Okay, anyone make a motion?
I, Darren Boston, make a motion to accept the changes in section 4-7.
There's a second?
Hi, Thomas Golden, second.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, Josh, we're gonna approve changes as made in section 4-7.
Okay, Ed,
Yes?
Tom,
Yes.
Darren,
Yes.
Janet,
Yes,
thank you, the motion was approved.
Okay, thank you, Josh. Moving on to section 4-8. The only change that I made here, I don't think, make sure. No, this change of the full council was recommended by the former Charter Review Committee. And we agree with that. I think we should agree with that. So this basically, as I was talking about earlier, is if they're going to vote to fire or remove the town manager, and they're going to have hearings to do that, you really need the full council to do that,
right.
not just a quorum or some, subset of the council. You need every member there. This is a serious thing that they're doing. So that's why I think we should change it to full.
Right.
Someone want to make a motion to do that?
I, Thomas Golden, motion to add the term full on line 29
Section 4-8.
in section 4-8.
Okay, is there a second?
I, Janet Hansen, second.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, Josh, we're going to take a roll call for approving changes to section 4-8.
Is there any more changes, Ed, before we say 4-8 in total?
You're right.
So just 4-8, paragraph 2.
Yep, 4.8, paragraph 2.
You want me to second that we're distinguishing paragraph 2?
No, I think we're fine.
Okay.
So Josh, did you get that?
Do you want me to just read the motion back?
Yep.
So I have Thomas Golden motion to add the term full to line 29.
in section 4-8.
4-8, yes.
Yep, okay. Yep,
Okay, Ed,
yes,
Tom,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Janet,
Yes,
thank you, the motion was approved.
okay, thank you. Okay, Steve had a comment here on this highlighted section here. It says unless provided otherwise. His comment was, should we delete this? What purpose does this serve? So if we read it, it says the town manager shall continue to receive a salary until the final date of removal becomes effective unless provided otherwise.
and what does that mean? Like, is that defined somewhere?
Well, it gives an opening for another option. If you don't put that in there, it basically just says he's going to receive a salary until the final date the removal becomes effective, period.
What would some of the otherwise be?
Well, so I don't know. I mean, they could vote, the council could vote to make another change, to do something different, I guess. This just gives the council a little more flexibility, I guess. If you take it out, they have to abide by specifically what the charter says on the salary.
So it doesn't have to be written somewhere, what the otherwise is. I'm just asking. I don't.
It doesn't, you don't have to be specific, it just says that the town manager shall continue to receive a salary until the final date of his removal becomes effective unless you have another, I guess, unless there's another option. That's the way I'm reading it.
And that option doesn't have to be specified ahead
No.
of time in the charter.
No,
Okay.
it doesn't. But and in some ways, I'm thinking, geez, maybe Steve's right. I mean, do we want to give the council another option or more flexibility in this, or do we want to take it out and just say, this is how it's going to be, period?
Yeah, because I'm just confused about what the options would be.
So what if there was a situation where they couldn't fill the position and he continued to perform the duties or the tasks that the manager, that he was performing? I mean,
Yeah, but it's all based on the final date of removal when that becomes effective.
yeah, I would think that that would come out, we would take it out, because if he's being removed, the final date, that should probably come out, I would think.
And if they decide for some reason that they want to change the final date, they have the prerogative to do that.
Right.
They can change the date. He's still going to get paid up until that final date. So I guess it does raise a question, I guess, what does it really mean? So
Yeah, it's too vague.
It
It's
leaves
like
it out open, yeah.
okay,
It's
somebody
open-ended.
want to make a motion to remove it?
Darren Boston, make the motion to remove the statement at the end of line 12.
Someone want to second it?
Janet Hanson, motion, second the motion to remove unless provided otherwise on
Okay.
section, whatever it is, 4-6?
Yep.
No, is it 4-7? What
It's
are we on?
section 4-8.
4-8,
item 6.
sorry.
Okay, we have seconded. Any further discussion? Okay, Josh, we need a roll call on section 4-8, item 6.
Ed,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Janet,
Yes,
thank you. The motion was approved.
Okay, thank you. Okay, no changes to section 4.9. This is small. It just talks about the annual review of the town manager. And that completes Article 4. So the next article is a short one. It's Article 5. It just talks about some of the administrative organizations and how reorganizations occur. Personnel administration, the town attorney. So there's only what, is that 3 sections? Anyone interested in doing that for next time? If not, I don't have any problem doing a mock-up for this.
Let me look at it. Real quick. So Ed, in addition to the one that we have, right?
What do you mean?
Because I have a marked up version of it.
Of what?
5.1 through 5.3, no?
Well, I mean, the version that we're using, the baseline that we're using from the Rules and Procedures Committee
Okay,
had changes to mostly grammatical, yeah, they were all grammatical
yeah,
changes.
okay, yeah.
Yep. Yep. Okay, so this will not take a full meeting next time. So what I can do is provide a mock-up for Article 5. That may take, I mean, I guess we never know. I didn't think Article 4 was going to take this long. But I think we should be prepared to get into Article 6 as well.
I agree.
So this is the one that's probably going to take several meetings to get into. Now, I did get an email today from Mike Dutton, town manager, asking if we had started working on the financial management section. And I said, no, but good timing, because I'm assuming we'll start at our next meeting. He said, good, because I've got a bunch of suggestions. So he's going to send me an email with some suggestions. And we have other suggestions that we have gotten from the town survey, from the citizen survey, and from the employee questionnaire. So do we want to, let's see how many sections are in 6. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So, I mean, we could divide it up again and just divide it by 3. That would mean roughly, each person would have 3 or 4 sections to do. Anybody interested?
I mean, I'll help with it. Some of it, Ed. I don't know which ones I can grab up. Like, I haven't read through it recently enough to know which ones I feel comfortable with.
Okay, that's fair. So why don't we do this? I haven't either. So I'll take a good look at it over the next couple of days, and I'll reach out through email. I'll just send an email out with I'll ask a suggestion. Tom, would you mind taking these sections? Or Darren, I know you said you're in tax season now, so you don't really have the time to be doing this. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, I don't want to commit to something in that I've already overcommitted myself.
That's okay. That's fair. Janet, would you be willing to take a section or 2 out of the finance area or not?
I can try. And we're looking at, I just have to figure out which one I'm looking at. I have so many copies of the charter, I forget
So
which.
look at the one that I sent you that we're looking at right now. This is the mock-up for tonight. This is the complete charter.
Okay, that's the one I'll look at.
Yep. Okay. So
Can't
if
remember if it's printed.
you're open to it, Tom, I know you're open to it. I think Steve will be open to it again, and myself. We can certainly share the load. But I'll take care of Article 5 myself, and then I'll send out a plan, a sort of a plan to how we're going to do section 6. Okay.
Okay.
One other thing I want to just share with you briefly here, is remember the matrix? Can you see it on my screen?
No.
No, it hasn't changed.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop sharing. Now I gotta share again. This time I'm gonna share the matrix. You see it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so we haven't looked at this in a while, but I've been updating this after every meeting. So what I've been doing is each time we vote on something, I go back and I look at all the recommendations that we had received. Some of these came from the original Charter Review Committee. Some of them came from the Rules of Procedure Committee. Some of them came from the survey or the questionnaire. And what I've been doing is tracking them. Everything you see in green is stuff that we voted on and approved in the date that we approved it. The things that are in yellow are things that we haven't gotten to yet. So we'll have to come back and address, this one. And the ones in yellow, there's not many of them, but we're going to have to circle back and address those. The ones you see in red are ones that we disagreed with. And so in this particular one, this one here, we modified it. We disagreed with what the CRC and the Rules of Procedure Committee had. We modified it and we voted on it December 2nd. Okay, so this is what I've been doing so that when we're at the end, now we have something to come back and look at to say, we voted on these items on this date. We either approved it or we disapproved it. And the ones in yellow will be ones we're going to have to go back and redo. So now tonight or tomorrow, you can see the ones for section 4, Article 4 are right here. We've addressed these. Well, I'm not sure we addressed this one yet. Town manager serve head one or more of, yeah. This I'm not sure if we've done this or not yet, but so this may be a yellow one. We'll have to come back and do it another time. But the other, I've been tracking all of these to make sure that we don't lose anything. All right. In case you're wondering, I just wanted to let you know that the matrix had not disappeared. I'm still updating it, and it will come in handy at the end. All right. Sound good?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to move to the next item, public comment. Looks like Carlton's still here. I don't know if he wants to chat again or not. Yep, Carlton.
I do. Thank you for considering the things that I had identified as being work. I greatly appreciate it. I did note one place, and I can't remember the specifics, but it had to do with something about serving. It was one of the early things that I had mentioned. You guys added the word must serve. You don't need the must. That actually confuses it.
Okay,
Just take a look at that again, because must is not a necessary word, because it seriously confuses what that is.
so that was the one that, I'm sorry, we're not supposed to have a dialogue, but
That's fine. I just wanted to make a point.
okay, thanks.
Just read it. We'll go, now that you're away from it, go back and read it and see if that word should actually stay there.
All right, appreciate it, Carlton. Thanks for hanging with us. Appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. I had nothing else to do. Ha. The Celtics are playing and I'm not watching, but I recorded them.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Okay, do we have any action items for our next meeting? Anybody other than what we've already talked about?
Ed, I would request that, I know we started to deviate a little bit from our planned schedule in terms of article review and meeting date. So maybe just touch on that at the beginning of the next meeting.
So kind of a schedule review?
Yeah, just to make sure, because I think we're, if my math is right, either 2.5 to 3 meetings behind schedule.
Yep.
So just
Yeah,
reevaluate that, but I think 5 will catch up some of that.
Yep, I'll take a look at that. It's been on the back of my mind anyway, so, okay. Anything else, either from Darren or Janet?
No, I don't have anything.
Okay, great. All right, our next meeting is 2 weeks from tonight, the 17th at 6 p.m. So as I said earlier, I'll be sending an email out on Article 6. And hopefully we can get something going for that at our next meeting. So thank you all for your time and for your willingness to go over tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Do we need
So,
to motion
You have
to approve?
motion to end?
Motion to end.
I motion to end the meeting.
Second?
Hi, Janet Hanson, second.
Thank you. All right. No discussion. Josh, roll call to end.
Ed,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Darren,
Yes.
Janet,
Yes.
thank you. The motion was approved. The meeting's adjourned.
Take care, guys.
Good
Thank
night.
you.